guitar. Let's see what God says had to be to do. Nails. Maybe off my fingers, tips, and that kind. Just it's not that clean. Slide and play. Man, was I getting? Man, I was gonna get this Guitarist to see about that. This is going to be used. I wondered. I don't just attempt. Now we gotta forever wait. can for a statement. I believe it just checked stamp that. Knew it. I think I like art direction. Some for baby beginners.
Hey there gang, your Guitar Sage here, and today we are going to learn a real basic lesson about the acoustic guitar. So if you are a fledgling guitar player, a brand new guitar player, this is your lesson, okay? Because we're going to learn a few basic things, and I'm saying from scratch. If you had a first guitar lesson, this is what your guitar teacher should be showing you, okay? So first, let's talk about the anatomy of the guitar, and we're going to talk just a slight bit about sound, and we're going to talk a little bit about technique and that sort of thing. So for some of you, this is going to be beyond you. For those of you that it's not, stick around, and we'll learn a ton today, okay? So let's talk about the guitar first. This is an acoustic guitar, of course. An acoustic guitar is one that has a sound hole, unlike an electric guitar, to where you plug it in, and it runs through an amplifier, where it's amplified through other means, other than just the guitar sounding itself. This particular guitar is an acoustic electric, okay? And that means it's acoustic. I can play it like this, and you can hear it. Or I can plug it in, and it also has a way to amplify it as well. But it's going to sound like an acoustic guitar, because that's the way it's set up, okay? So acoustic guitars get their sound by these strings vibrating, and the sound resonating into the sound hole, reverberating the body, or shaking the body, if you will, and then the sound coming out the sound hole, okay? Let's talk about the parts here, and then we'll jump back to sound for a minute, okay? So a guitar, if you think about it like a body, this part right here is the body of the guitar. Some people will call these even the ribs. This is called the top. Some people call it the belly, but most of the time you'll hear it called the top of the guitar. This is, of course, the back of the guitar, and the sides. So when people are talking about types of guitars and woods and stuff like that, they might say it's a spruce top, and they're talking about this part right here. And when they're talking about the sides, they're talking about the outer edge, and of course the back is the part that you're not seeing right now. Okay? This right here is called the bridge, and the bridge is the place where the strings start, if you will, or you could say they start here at the tuners, but they start and end from the bridge to the tuners, okay? So this part's called the bridge. These parts are called the tuners. Of course, they tune the guitar. They change the tension, or the highness and lowness of the strings, the pitch, if you will, okay? This is the head and the headstock, and this is the neck, okay? On this particular guitar, there's some electronics, tuner, an equalizer, volume, place for the battery, and that sort of thing. When you have these built-in tuners, that's really helpful on an acoustic guitar, because you don't have to grab a tuner, and typically these particular tuners work on vibration instead of sound. So people can be talking, and you can have the TV running, and actually still play or still tune your guitar, okay? This part of the guitar is called the nut, and these little wires are called the frets. This whole thing, a lot of times people mistake that for the fret, but it's this thing right here, okay? There are also little dots, if you notice that, on the top of your neck, should be facing you. If you're playing as a lefty and you don't see them, you're probably playing a righty guitar upside down. But those little dots are helpful. They're there just basically to show you, so when you look down at the guitar, you can, after a while, memorize them and know where you're at immediately instead of having to count a bunch of frets. If I'm jumping from a chord up here to here, I don't want to have to count 8 frets to be able to say, okay, my chord's up here. I want to be able to just look down and see the one dot that I recognize as the one right behind the 8, or something like that. Okay? So that's what those dots are, is to tell you where you're at, kind of help you out. If you will, they're kind of like lines in a road. Although the lines in the road are little bit more important. They're not just suggested. You might want to stay in them. But these fret dots are there to help you. Okay, so, and this part here is, of course, called the fretboard because that's where the frets are. And those are made of different types of wood, rosewood, ebony, maple. Different ones create different sounds on the guitar. Okay, let's talk a little bit, let's talk basically about sound for just a minute. So some of you know about sound as the sensation that we receive in our ear, right? Let's talk about this for a second, it's real important. When something vibrates, okay? So when I hit the string, it vibrates, it causes air particles to vibrate, hit your eardrum, and of course we have the sensation of sound. Pitch is the highness and lowness of something. So if this is low, this is high. Okay? So we're hearing a difference in the two because of the way that they are vibrating. Okay? Now on the guitar, when we pick a string, it vibrates between the nut and the bridge. Okay? So if I pick a string, I can lay my hand right here behind the nut and nothing's going to happen. That string is going to keep sounding. But if I go beyond the nut right here, it's going to get muted because we're stopping the sound. Okay? What the frets do is they shorten or lengthen the string. Okay? So there's a law of nature that says the bigger something is, the deeper that it will reverberate or vibrate at. Everything vibrates, so everything's vibrating. And something bigger is going to vibrate lower than something smaller. That's why the smaller the bird, the higher pitch its sound. The larger, a whale has a really deep, low bellow, or a cow or an elephant you're gonna feel it as well as hear it. Okay. So the same thing with pitch on the guitar. So these thicker strings are going to sound lower than the higher pitched strings. Okay? And also, if we take the string length and we shorten it with these frets, then we have a shorter body again, or shorter string length, which gives us a higher pitch. So for instance, this low string going up the fretboard, we're shortening the string length. Now it's vibrating between the bridge and that fret instead of over here. You can touch here all day long, no problem. But we are shortening the string length, which is increasing our pitch. Okay? So, there you go. Those are the basics there regarding sound. Let's talk about some left and right hand techniques. Now, techniques that I'm giving you today are the exact techniques that I sit down with students every single day and show them. So these techniques are proven and they're going to help you a ton. Okay? As far as your right hand and as far as picking, the way you pick up a pick is typically the way you're going to use it. Most people pick it up like this or with their first and second finger. Okay? I prefer to hold it with my first finger and my thumb, and I like to hold it at the tip of my fingers, if you will, like this. Some people will hold it like this. Some people hold it like this. Some people even hold it like this. Okay? I don't prefer that because I don't feel like I have the control. So, if you want to start off in a way that we have more control over the pick, play it like this, pinched. Okay, let's try this exercise here. Basically what I want you to do is on this first string here, pick that. And so take the pick and you lay it on the string and press down towards the floor. Okay? And the second string, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Now, you'll notice that I'm counting the strings from the one that's closest to the ground, or the highest pitched string, as a 1, and the lowest pitched string is a 6. That's the way us guitar players identify the strings, as well as string names, which we'll learn in a minute. Okay, so that's your right hand technique. Left hand technique is fairly simple. So there's 2 or 3 principles that are really important that you stick to. The one is, make sure you use all your fingers, okay? Every single finger you want to use. So if you're playing 4 frets, use 4 fingers. Also play directly on your fingertips. With my students, I'll take a Sharpie pen and literally draw 4 little dots on the tips of their fingers so that they remember when they're looking at their hands not to play like this, but to play like that, okay? Now for newbies, that may not look like much of a difference, this and this, but when you're playing chords, it's a big difference. So believe me now, and you'll understand it more later. So fingertips when you're playing, also play right behind the fret. So for instance, take your first finger, put it behind fret 1, this is fret 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. Fret 1, and play right behind the fret. What I mean by right behind it is, this is the fret, play right here, not back here, where you get that buzzy sound or sometimes like a thumping sound. You don't want that. So scooch up on the fret and play right there. Okay? Take the second finger and play on the second fret. Don't slide your first finger up, use the second finger. And again, right behind the fret. If you're back here, you're going to get that pinched, kind of weird sound. So scooch it up on the fret. Third finger, third fret. Fourth finger, fourth fret. Okay? And at first, just do that. You won't be able to play it that fast at first. You may, depending on how much experience you've had. But that's the exercise that you want to do. And you want to do that for all the strings. If you do that for all the strings, you're going to be really on your way to feeling a little bit better about these strings, or a lot better actually. And then as you get faster and more precise, you'll be able to play more things. Okay, so you got the basic idea there. Okay, that's as far as right hand and as far as left hand techniques. Let's talk really quickly about the string names. The string names go like this, from the low E to the high E. So from the low E, we got E, A, D, G, B, and last one is E. So again, E, A, D, G, B, E. How do you memorize that? How about this? Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. Okay? Write that one down because it will help you remember it. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. I always remember Ed, and Eddie, those cartoon kids, and some kid eating a piece of dynamite and blowing up and heading to heaven. And that helps me remember it. Okay? I know, graphic, but it's useful. Okay, so there you go. There's some basic ideas, basic technique. For those of you that are new to guitar, and if you haven't gone there already, go to yourguitarsage.com. I've got a great informative e-booklet there that will help you a ton with learning guitar, specifically on the acoustic guitar. Teach you all about rhythms, teach you about right hand technique, teach you all your basic chords, teach you how to use a capo. This guy right here, super handy for newbies especially. Actually for everybody, for experts as well. Teach you how to use a capo. I have somewhere around 200 videos right here on YouTube right now teaching all sorts of songs, and will also help you with all those tunes. So, if you like what you see here, go to yourguitarsage.com and check that out. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe because I'm putting new videos out all the time. So, there you go. Hope you've learned something today, and keep checking in for new lessons. Your Guitar Sage, over and out.
Is that really right? I had my left fingertip and just this thing. It was step like this. I will try that. What's here? As I explained, it's here. How do I find that? Step that can't be cancelled to be it right here. Have our file. Strap on here and this is here. We're gonna have a work test to do. Maybe there's a guitarist later in here. voltage, you got a continuous of strings tip side. Whatever it is, I'm moving it here.
What up, punks? Your guitar sage. Today we're going to learn some dexterity exercises. Why do dexterity exercises? Well, if you found this video, you probably don't need that explanation, but if you do, dexterity exercises basically help our eye-hand coordination, help our motor skills, and help us to just, in general, be a better player because we're able to grab the chords and the notes that we want when we want instead of just hearing them and being frustrated that we can't do it, okay? So I tell my students all the time, and this is totally true, that whatever you tell your conscious mind, your unconscious mind will do. What the heck are you talking about? Okay, let me explain it. If I'm telling my fingers to do a particular something, if I can tell it enough times consciously, that means paying attention, going, you move your finger here, you move here, you move here, you move here, you move here, that sort of thing, then eventually you can do that sort of thing without even thinking. That's why when you see your favorite guitar players ripping it up, working the crowd, looking over at the drummer, doing all this stuff, and it looks like they're not even trying, it's because at this stage in the game, they don't have to. They're trying, of course, they're doing their job, but they're not having to think like a new guitar player is thinking because all his attention is going towards this particular thing, okay? So, with that being said, repetition is really, really important when it comes to dexterity and it comes to getting parts down and doing them fluidly and without having to think too much about it. Okay, so let's jump into a few here and I'll explain them as I'm going along here. So the first exercise that I give to my students is this really simple exercise that you might have seen already. And it's just working up the fretboard each string at a time, and basically doing this 1, 2, 3, 4 motion. Now, some of you are a little bit more experienced, so hang in there, and we'll get more complex as we go throughout this video. For those of you that are beginners, it's really important that you use all your fingers, so don't do this sort of thing. Don't be sliding up. There's room for that later on when you need to slide up here, but if you got a finger and there's a fret right under your finger, then stretch it out, go for it, okay? So this exercise will get you using all your fingers. Also, of course, play directly on your fingertips for all these exercises, okay? So here we go. So here's the first one. So you're going to pick, you can start at the beginning of this, just do all down strokes. Now, if you're really a beginner, this is going to be way too fast for you, what I'm doing. You may have to do something like this. Totally fine, okay? But for those of you that are able to do it faster, that will increase your dexterity, okay? And then working down the next string. Now I'm doing it several times on each string. You can do any number of times on particular strings. And I'm doing all downstrokes right now, but you can do up and down strokes. And you can do one string at a time and then move to the next one, for instance. This is the way that I prefer to do the exercise. Now, as you're getting more advanced, do up and down picking. That sort of thing, and that will get your fingers nice and limbered up and get you in command of these fingers. Instead of them doing what they want to do, they're doing what you want them to do, which is rock out, right? Okay, so that's exercise one. Another exercise that I do a lot for students that are wanting to increase muscle, increase their longevity, if you will, like how long they can play and that sort of thing, is you want to develop the muscles in your forearm and in your hand. And this is a great exercise. This is one that's great for classical guitar players as well, because it really requires some funky fingerings. Okay, so here's what you do on strings 1, 2, 3, and 4. Put fingers 4, 3, 2, and 1. So basically backwards. So it's going to look something like this, like a set of stairs. So on the 4th string, and this is I'm doing this at the 9th fret. So your first finger at the 9th fret of the 4th string. Put that first finger there. Second string, or second finger on the next string down. Third finger on the next string down. Fourth finger on the next string down. On the high E, if you will. Okay, and then that's what you got. Now, this exercise, what you're going to do is with your right hand, you're going to pick, and you're going to sweep pick up and back, something like this. What's a sweep pick? A sweep pick is when you, just like you think about, you're sweeping up a floor. You're just going in one direction. You're not going da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, okay? You're going just sweeping. So just sweeping across the strings real slowly. And then back. So 4 down and 2 up. That gives you 6 notes, so you can do this in 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not meant to sound pleasant. It sounds like it could be in a horror film or something. Okay, so do it in 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Real important that you do the pattern. You get the pattern down before moving on to this next part. Once you get that down, what you're going to do is you're going to inch one finger down. These guys stay. Okay. For beginners, this will probably feel like it's impossible, but you can do it because beginners turn to intermediates, and intermediates turn to experts. So you'll get it. It just takes time and practice. Okay, so here we are on the first one. Second finger goes, or first finger goes down a fret. Everybody else stays. Next time around, second finger goes down. First finger stays. So you got a space between the two. Next time around, third finger comes down. This right hand does the same thing every time. Pinky on the next one. And then so on. Now what you'll notice is that as we get further down, of course the frets get further and further apart, so it makes it harder to get to your destination. And this is good because it keeps a good stretch in your hand. Keeps your hand where it should be as far as fingertips and all that good stuff. Keeps your last knuckle curled, hopefully. And as you can see, it gets near the end here. You really got to stretch it out. It's a killer, okay? Now, once you're done with that, bump it up to the top 4 strings, or the low and pitch strings, if you will. Same thing with that. Okay, then, okay, other variations on this. Ultimately, from this, you could come up with, I don't know, just a ton of different, I don't know, I'm just guessing off the top of my head, probably 50 different combinations. So, for instance, that was one. This would be 2, so just switching the staircase around like this, totally. Same thing here, and then do it down here. So for each one of these, you get 2. So it's like 4 together there. Then, how about this one? So this is the first one we started off with. How about just switching the first and the second finger? Now we got this. You know, figure out a systematic way you can do this. How about something like this? Okay, so all sorts of different combinations. Once you master one, move to another. Now, a word of advice about dexterity exercises. They're great and they're wonderful. When I was a teenager on through my 20s, I think I did too many dexterity exercises and didn't work enough on theory, didn't work enough on applying scales and just playing, just outright playing. So even though these are wonderful to do, there's nothing that beats actually just playing to a song, okay? It's good to have both in your playing. You want to be able to do these dexterity exercises, but you also want to be able to just play a song, because you can do this all day long, and that's not going to get you a record contract or what have you, okay? So there you go. There's a little word there on dexterity exercises. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, and if you haven't already, go to yourguitarsage.com. I've got a great ebook there, especially for beginning and intermediate guitar players who are wanting to know more about the acoustic guitar, how to play it. We've got somewhere around 200 videos online right now, so check out some of those other ones, a lot on songs, on cover tunes, and that sort of thing. And check those out, and you'll find out more about the ebook there too. But hit yourguitarsage.com and get that ebook, and help me to continue to make free videos. All right, over and out. See ya.
This was for the right, but furnace is